Hey crafty people, it's Tasha here, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing a video that I originally shared over on the Heavy Doodle page. I really hope you enjoy it. Today I'm going to be sharing a super quick and easy faux watercolour technique for colouring your stamped images. Trust me when I say anyone can do this. I'll be using Quack Me Up Stamp and Dies, Build a Pond die set, and the mini scalloped rectangles, Imperial sized, along with a few other things that I hadn't planned on using, so I didn't grab them out from the start. For this technique I'm using Distress Watercolour Cardstock. With this, one side is textured and the other is smooth, and I'm going to use the smoother side today. I'm stamping in VersaFine Onyx Black ink because this is a slow drying ink, which is exactly what I need because I'm going to clear emboss these. Those embossed lines work like little dams and they hold the colour inside whichever area you put it in, and that just makes the whole process even easier. Heating that embossing powder will bring back and actually intensify the black lines. I much prefer stamping in black and embossing in clear than the other way around and using black embossing powder. This technique uses whatever ink pads you already have, but my favourite are definitely Catherine Pooler. The only thing you'll need is one of these Tombow ABT clear water-based markers. I've got a couple so that I can split them between different colours. They're literally just a couple of pounds, so this is a great and budget friendly way to get more from your supplies. I'm starting with touching the brush tip to some ink that's on the inside of my ink pad's lid. This is going to give me a pale colour which I can use to fill in the whole of this little duck. I just keep going back to pick up a little more when I need it, but to be honest, these inks go a really long way. Once I have the base down, I like to touch the brush tip to the actual ink pad itself to pick up a stronger colour that I can use in any areas that I think would naturally have a shadow. I am going to go back and deepen those areas even more, but for now I'm just using that same ink still. Catherine Pooler inks are really pigmented and the foam pad makes it really easy to transfer ink, but depending on what inks you have, you might need to smoosh the pad onto like a glass mat or a craft mat and then pick up the pigment from there. I'm going to repeat those exact same steps on my other ducks before I go back in with a darker shade. You don't want to work at the cardstock too much or it can cause some pilling to occur. The best way to avoid this is by letting each layer dry completely before you add another, and also don't rub across the same area excessively. Now I'm going back in with a darker shade. I've got all of my colours listed and linked below, and I'm adding that to anywhere I think would naturally have a shadow. I don't want to add too much colour as I'm still after a soft finish, so I'm just picking up ink from the inside of the lid again. This second shade will then become my lightest shade for the beaks and feet. I'm going to add more contrast with a deeper orange ink. Then I just blend that out. If you have too much colour on your pen at any time, you just need to get rid of it by softly scribbling onto some scrap cardstock. This will work for lightening the colour, so if say you want to blend it out, or you just keep going until there's no more ink being transferred, so that you can completely clean the pen to say change the colour that you have on there. I'm going to add a vibrant pop of pink on the umbrella, concentrating the pigment at the very top and then wiping off some of the colour before going back in to blend out that pink over the whole area. Finally, I'm going to add some subtle shade to the clouds using a light grey, just to give them a little bit more of a shape. It really is that easy. I think it's such an accessible way to try watercolouring if you aren't too confident, but it's also just a really quick way to get that look that you're after without much effort, even if you're a confident painter. You're also stretching the use of your supplies to really get the most out of those ones that you already have. There's no die for the sentiment, so I'm going to fussy cut it. I'm just following the letters with a sort of bubble cut bouncy style. Now for our background, I cut this piece from the Build Upon die set from Monster Cardstock. I'm going to deepen the colour on the edges a little bit to make it look like the back of the pond is in the distance. Nothing too detailed, just the merest suggestion of depth and dimension. For a subtle bit of extra detail, I'm using the Ripple stencil. I'm just using the ink that I have left on my blender. I haven't gone back in for more. I'm going side to side with the lines of the stencil because this is a really intricate one. Now you can see this quite nicely, but the camera doesn't pick it up too well in the final photos, so it's really up to you whether you want to bother with this extra step or not. I cut a panel of Nina £80 with the largest of the Imperial mini scalloped rectangles, and I'm going to adhere my water directly onto that. I'm then going to layer that whole thing on top of an A2 piece of Oreo, which is the black cardstock from Heffy. Now is the fun part, setting up the scene. I like to fuss around with it a bit until I settle on a design that I'm happy with. Then I'm going to glue it all down with a mixture of liquid and foam adhesive. I also cut some of the tiny raindrops that you get with this set from the same Monster cardstock, and I'm adding these across the sky as raindrops. But I'm also putting some under my excited little ducky to look as though he's making a splash there. With these tiny pieces, I prefer to put a dab of glue onto some release paper and then pick up a spot of the glue on the end of my paper piercer picky tool thing. In a recent live, I showed how I like to store my sparkle mixes, and it went down really well, so I thought that I'd share it here too. I just used one of these small split binder rings to hold them all on my new blue sequins, and this card is finished. I hope you enjoyed these tips and that you'll give the faux watercolour technique a try. I hope that you have a lovely, happy, safe and wonderful week. Stay crafty. Bye.